Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily show in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate Solo, a Star Wars story 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Damon.
And I'm Mollie Damon.
And we're from Star Wars Explained, the YouTube channel.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, we're going to need a lot of explaining, I think, this week. There's a lot of good explaining stuff going on. A lot of background and concepts brought up that we're going to need to talk about. So
we're just going to sit back and let you guys kind of do all the heavy lifting from this point forward. So
okay, great.
We're going to ask a lot of dumb questions. We're going to be like, "What's that?
Yeah,
what's that?" And then,
how did he get the name Han Solo? But anyway, here we go. Minute 51. Minute 51 starts off with Dryden Voss asking Solo if that's all they have. And it ends a minute later with Solo telling Voss they've already got the pilot. Yes. So Han is saying that they will go steal the gold press latinum directly from the mines of Kessel.
right.
And Voss seems skeptical.
And importantly, he's pointing out they don't have any alliance with the Pikes. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I feel like at the time, I forgot if we looked this up, whether it seems like there was a coordinated effort to introduce the Pikes in a couple of different things at roughly around the same time. And I can't remember if they appeared in Clone Wars or something.
Clone Wars?
Yeah. I was going to say that they definitely, this is the first live action mention of the Pike Syndicate. And it wasn't a huge surprise because they showed a picture of Quay Tolsite before it came out, and I think his Lego minifig leaked, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Pikes!" So yeah, they were
always
from
the Lego that leaks
yeah,
stuff.
it is.
It's always Lego,
right?
The David Prowse of toys.
Yeah, it was season 5 of the Clone Wars was their first introduction, and they were a little bigger in season 6 and a little bigger in season 7. But yeah, and then of course they more recently showed up in Book of Boba Fett, but this was kind of their introduction to the more casual Star Wars fan.
Right. Although the idea of more casual, yes, but still I feel like there's a certain level of like, well, the people who went to see Solo have been determined to be not as casual as we would have liked, maybe. But yeah, I feel like in the past, all that washed over me at the time. I was just like, yeah, Pike. It's just they just threw in some nonsense, Star Wars stuff, which I like. I like it when they just, they just make up some new stuff. And I did not remember the Pikes being a part of this movie at all until like afterwards. And I'm like, oh, the Pikes. Oh, and the Pikes and the Pikes and the. Oh, okay. This is all the same. We're tying this together. I see. I get it.
Oh, those Pikes. Yeah.
Those Pikes.
Well, this movie in general also does a fairly good job of, we almost figured out crack the formula where they'll mention, like, if they're going to mention two things, one of them will be a very familiar thing, like Bosk, and the other thing will be either made up thing or just a really obscure reference from the role-playing games from the 90s or something like that. So when they said Pikes, I'm just like, it's probably just I'm going to look, if I go through the trouble looking up, it's going to be, oh yeah, they appeared in a comic once and so on, so.
This movie definitely had the most, I feel like, Easter eggs and things to pull out like that. And Dryden's office alone is full of them. Yeah. All of his decorations and stuff. I was having a great time. Like, I had to watch this movie twice to actually once point out everything that I was enjoying and then go back to actually, watch the story.
Yeah, the first
did it
time
in that order. First you were like kind of process everything, and then it was like, okay, now what was people were talking about things, and there was a plot there, right?
I feel like it accidentally happened that way.
Yeah,
it just I can't help it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm almost like two people whenever I watch anything Star Wars now. I'm like the obviously the podcaster is looking for plot holes and looking for, how does this connect with every other thing I've seen? And then there's
What's that guy's story? Yeah,
then there's the
save that.
increasingly withering, just pure enjoyment of a thing. And so that's like why when Rogue One, when that ending, it was enough to shut down my critical facilities where I could just totally enjoy it. And that's why I will always have a soft spot for Rogue One. That it was just kind of like managed to shut that guy up for 2 seconds.
Oh, I actually
With his
totally
nitpicks.
agree with you. Yeah, because I had nitpicks about the first half of that movie, and then the whole Battle of Scarif I was just in love with, and then the Vader thing just pushed it over the edge where I was just like, what were my criticisms? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into it again, but I was like on board, and it hit both things for me because I was like, it's all stuff that I like, and it's stuff I get to talk about because it's like, hey, it's Gold Squadron, but then I'm not a fan of the Vader stuff, so I will I'll save that for. Well, we already talked about that movie. Save it for when we did that movie 2 years ago.
You mentioned the Easter eggs. I wanted to call attention to one of them I particularly enjoyed. There's you can see it here in the Solo official guide.
Mm-hmm.
There's sort of like an animal who's kind of like in a jar, a little tiny preserved animal in like a jar, and that is of course a Tranmarial runyip.
Of course.
Which
runyip is different than tip yip, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the guide says that it's kept in suspended animation. So it's not dead in the jar. It's just kind of like in suspended animation. And I don't know, maybe the Star Wars explained to people others. We know carbonite keeps people in perfect hibernation. But it seems like being able to keep things in suspended animation would be a useful thing we would see more frequently for prisoners and whatnot.
Yeah. I've never heard of that. Although in the world of Star Wars, it might just be like a really fancy paperweight.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Like one of those like scorpions or something that you get in a...
Yeah.
I do think it's popped up a couple times. I believe Kix, the clone trooper, was kept in stasis for 50 years from the Clone Wars all the way down to the sequel era. So he's like the last surviving clone trooper.
He's like the clone Captain America.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm looking up run yips. I like run yips. Do I like saying run yips? Kind of. They first appeared in Battlefront 2. No, wait. They were first mentioned in the reference book Ultimate Star Wars and then appeared in Battlefront 2, and then they were first created for Galaxy Guide 2 Yavin and Bespin, a supplement to the West End game Star Wars Legends, Star Wars role-playing game. This goes deeper and deeper. But I do like, yeah, it's like, they first appeared in this, although they were first brought up in 1989. I was like, wait a minute, wait, that's earlier. But,
that's older than the Pikes.
We have to deal with Legends. Oh, this is sad. First appearances, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi as Leather. Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker as Leather. Oh.
Is that like Kylo Ren's vest or something made out of run yip leather?
Poe's jacket.
Oh, no.
Poe Dameron sometimes wear a jacket
less.
made of run yip leather, so I guess it counts as appearances as Poe's jacket. But they're neat looking. I don't know who drew this illustration of it, but it's neat looking. It looks like a one of those illustrations that you would see in the Age of Exploration kind of a thing when people are just, like Darwin or whatever, they just go around and do cool illustrations of crazy animals that...
Space Darwin.
Yeah. And they're from Yavin, so...
Oh, okay.
This could be a sensitive topic, but do you think the Jedi, believe in evolution?
I think
or
so.
Is the theory of evolution a thing in Star Wars? Do they even have it? Anyway, give us a call. Let us know what you think.
If it's the will of the Force, then sure.
Yeah, I think that's the evolution as guided by the Force. I think that's
by the midichlorians. Yeah,
that's the play both sides of that, both hands. Yeah, both the.
I feel like evolution has come up in something that I've read somewhere, but
we've all
I can't,
kind of
I can't pull
evolved from midichlorians, I guess.
Wow.
Wow, that's deep.
Now, do you mean all of us as like a fandom? Like we've evolved from like our initial reaction to midichlorians and the Phantom
I think
Menace?
as a fandom we're devolving.
Yeah,
Devolving.
seems like that could be the case.
Yeah.
I don't think Star Wars fandom has processed midichlorians yet. I don't think the full implications of it have really hit like what it means. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. If I think too hard about the idea, the concept of midichlorians, I just start hearing circus music in my head, and I just blocked it out.
hopefully, some point we will get a depiction of George Lucas's long rumored third trilogy, which was said perhaps trollingly to focus on midichlorians.
All right, in like the nanoverse of midichlorians.
Yeah,
Right.
it's about Greedo shooting midichlorians. That's exactly.
Now
what
I'm on
the,
board. There you go.
How do you guys feel about villain Paul Bettany as Dryden
Man,
Voss?
he's great.
I love Paul Bettany in this movie. I am sad that we didn't get to see who was it? Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
Was originally going to play him when those other directors were going to be in charge. And
What's that?
And like they had cool designs for him to be like an alien too, but I'm super happy with Paul Bettany's performance. I think he should be a villain more often.
I feel the same way. Like, I was really excited to see Michael K. Williams in Star Wars. But Paul Bettany does a great job of shifting between fun and menacing very quickly. He's charming, but also scary.
Yeah, he's like the opposite of Jabba. He's kind of like a little bit more poised, and like he's got all this fancy stuff, and he's, you know, offering people Kolo clawfish, which is apparently a delicacy. So
I know I'm about to kill you, but like you can have some food before you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, has Jabba ever offered someone food?
Yeah.
no,
He's like,
he's
I'm
eating
gonna
it too
sit
quick.
there and eat this bowl of frogs. You're on your own. Yeah, it's because I feel like even as a good guy, quote unquote, you know, and who knows what's what, but Paul Bettany walks that line either way. He's never too far on one side of it. So when he is a good guy, you know, in a I'm trying to think of his other. I know besides Vision, there's the one. The only thing I remember him from was Master and Commander, but that was forever ago. But he's always got layers. There you go. Which side was he on in A Knight's Tale? He's always got layers to him that you're like, well, he's never like. There's always something going on in there, and it's like if he's good, he's like he's good, but and if he's bad, he's like he's bad, but you know what I mean? He's always got a butt, Paul Bettany.
Mm.
Yeah, he's kind of like devil's advocate in a lot of stuff.
Right.
Plays both sides.
So another thing we hear here is that Chewbacca, of all people, suggests that they go do the processing on Savareen.
Yeah.
I like that. Is this the first time Chewbacca's idea is the one that is taken up by the group? That seems crazy.
Well, I think
This is the movie that treats him most seriously and the most like a character instead of, I mean, if you go back and watch A New Hope especially, or The Empire Strikes Back, like he is very much just a dog because that's what George Lucas envisioned him as being.
Yeah.
And they kind of talk down to him and stuff, but you know, over the course of time, we've come to see him as more and more of a character. And I feel like Solo is the only movie to really, really treat him like one.
Well, didn't Jonas have lines for this movie? Technically lines that he was like reading and then translating to Shriwook.
Yeah, like they had all of Chewbacca's lines in the script, even though they knew they wouldn't be said out loud. But all of his like, "What's your name?" And he said, "I'm Chewbacca, son of Etchichachuk," or whatever Itchy's full name is. And
right.
Han's like, well, we need a nickname because I'm not calling you that every time. Like all that stuff was in the script, and I think that's pretty fun.
Now, see, that makes retroactively that makes that line make more sense if he's you know adding his whole family name lineage, you know, into that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first time? Does this make Itchy officially canon? Then I guess
Has he
ever been
brought up before?
officially mentioned?
I think he has been mentioned in something. I mean, Lumpy and Mala have both been mentioned. So, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Itchy was in a High Republic comic, actually.
Oh. See, I've been kind of opposed to the High Republic, but now that if it's making Itchy canon, I might...
His full name is Atichikuk. Atichikuk.
I was pretty close.
Yeah.
That's
well, it's hard, our mouths aren't built for that language. So
Archichikub and the Runyip. Runyip.
And the Runyip.
But Severine, the planet that he mentions, was mentioned originally in the role-playing games back in 1,000 years ago. It was in Galaxy Guide 9, Fragments from the Rim, and I guess it is a planet where they're famous for making some kind of alcohol. I think
brandy.
Brandy.
There you go.
Which comes up later on,
right?
When they get to Severine, Dryden orders. He says, "I hear you have good brandy."
I do remember that because I was hoping they would have some kind of like Savarine brandy at Galaxy's Edge, which I don't know.
Nothing, huh? Yeah, that seems catering. That seems like it was almost put in there specifically to be like, this is the finest drink since Galaxy's Edge,
It wasn't Savarine. Wasn't that am I getting that confused? What isn't a brand of like instant coffee or something?
I think Severin. There is a brand. Maybe I don't know. There was at least. I don't know if there is anymore.
Yeah, maybe I'm. It's like all my references are dated. I'm like, what is that instant coffee? And they haven't sold it since the 80s.
Yeah, it was only sold on Long Island in the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
Get it.
Turns out everybody didn't have the same experience that I did. Huh? Yeah. Savarine coffee. There's. Let's see. Might still be around. I don't know.
I mean, maybe the people writing. Maybe the people that were writing the role-playing books knew about this instant coffee.
It was what was keeping them going. They're like, totally. we gotta give a nod to Savarine coffee.
I'll go you one further. I'll say Savarine paid them to include it in the guide because they're like
product placement. Their audience.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chock full of nuts system.
No, that got me thinking about Rio's the Minoc roast. It's nuts, and you should have said it's chock full of nuts.
You guys Rio fans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of wish the whole crew stuck around longer, but that's it. I liked them all.
I know. The first time I saw this and when he died, I was like, wait, did he just die? Like, how far into this movie are we?
Yeah, that really could have been I don't know, but we could have used those characters further into this, and then having we do lose spoilers, but we do lose characters that we haven't met yet as the adventure goes on. But it would be if you take the
we lose characters we haven't met yet.
Yeah, later. But if you add those, take those. Deaths from the train heist, from the Conveyex job, and where they seemed a little bit throwaway potentially, they seemed a little bit cheap, and move them to the greater task at hand, the whole Kessel Severine thing. Then it adds a little bit more weight, more gravity to that, but then you also are lacking. You have kind of character overlap, and I don't know how you would deal with that. But luckily, not my job to. Movie's already done.
Yeah.
Are any of these movies ever really done though?
Yeah, it's true. We might get.
It is definitely one of those, like, especially between this and Rogue One. I wonder if someday we'll get to see some of the alternate footage. Maybe
I hope so.
For the 20th anniversary or something. They're like, you know what? Enough time has passed. We'll throw you a bone, and you can see how Rogue One was going to end, and you can see the Lord and Miller version of some of these scenes.
I'll go you one further. I'll say we should totally not just do like this. We should totally double Snyder cut it. We get Lord and Miller to do their version of Solo, and then we get Ron Howard to do his version of Solo, rather than this kind of fused together sort of abomination. So we'd have 3 different Solo movies out there.
It's kind of like
a trilogy of the same movie.
Or Blade Runner. Blade Runner is a good example of how you can have 4 versions of it on the same Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm all for it. That's the thing. I would buy it. I've said that about the releasing the the unaltered original cuts of the classic trilogy too. Like, hey, put it in a whole box set. Like, I'll buy it. Like,
Yeah.
I have no problem rebuying the new stuff. I want give me a whole separate disc just from McClunky. Sure.
I like it because it'd be kind of like a Rashomon thing where you wouldn't be really sure what happened because there'd be alternate legends about what.
At this point, I can't remember what the crate dragon is supposed to sound like anymore.
Right.
It's changed so many times.
It would be like the end of Clue where it's like, or this could have
there you
happened. But here's what really happened.
That's what they'll do. Instead of a bunch of separate versions, they'll include every version of every scene at the same time, where it's like the original crate dragon call, or maybe it sounded like this, or maybe it sounded like this. Maybe there was a rock in front of R2, maybe not.
If they did that with like the director's commentary alongside of it, can you imagine how much money they would make? Like, that would be huge with the fans.
I think so. I'm all for it. It seems like they're throwing money away here, but
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of remember that was like a big deal when DVDs were first like a huge when DVDs first came out. The guy who's already referenced a defunct coffee brand trying to sound older. The branching was like it was like branching and angles were a whole new thing. Like, yeah, well, you can watch things from different angles, and you can have branching where it'll, like, if you choose at the beginning which way it's going to play, and it was this whole like technical thing. And I guess maybe either people just never took enough advantage of it, or it was just not well adopted, whatever. So but I feel like that kind of thing where you can go and just, basically, we've talked about this, have a checklist at the beginning and be like, yes, okay, I want the original crate dragon. I want the mono version of Aunt Beru. I want like all these,
I want Han shooting first, but I also want McClunky.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to hear David Prowse doing all of Vader's lines.
There you go.
Alongside and before, we get his actual voice.
So now the pointing lines up.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to do a only on set audio. So you'd have David Prowse, you'd have Peter Mayhew, maybe a little Kenny Baker in there too. The whole
when I was in school, again with these anecdotes. But when I was in college, that it was not my class. It was some friends of mine were in a class where they had access to that. They showed them they in order to basically break down the importance of the different elements of a film, because this is a film class, and so it's like, all right, well, to get from what you shoot to what you see on screen, they had, I guess, at the as a gift or something, as a allowance from George Lucas, they had, I'm pretty sure it was some of the cockpit footage from the Falcon, just pure on-set audio, no effects, just them sitting in the cockpit, and a good, like 5-10 minutes of them sitting there and just, shaking in the thing, and you just hear no sound and no, like them doing the whole, pretending that there's stuff there. And it sounds
Ford just like pressing random buttons.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to hear them be clunks. They're clunky. Yeah, and that sounds amazing. And I've always been, well, envious that I didn't get to take that class, but also then just like, well, that exists. I want that. I do want, like, I think there is, especially for something like this, there's totally that market for people like us who are just like, oh, give me all the nuts and bolts. I want to see like everything. I want to see, how the sausage is made. So give me this giant box set of all kinds of nonsense, And I don't know if they would do it as a box set, or, at this point, maybe it would be a Disney Plus kind of thing. But I feel like all the people who would buy it are already subscribed to Disney Plus. So I feel like it would be money-wise, it would be better for them to make it some kind of add-on or box set thing. But
I feel like that would be something that they would make it prohibitively expensive, where individual people would not get it and like libraries would have it. So like if you wanted to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But no,
I feel like it'd be too dangerous to just let people edit their own versions of Star. I mean, I guess people are doing that now anyway, so it's not like it's
right.
They would sell tickets to a one-time screening in like special theaters, and you could see this stuff like one time only.
All right, you guys,
El Capitan, I'm all for it. There you go. Boom. Disney, you own a theater. Show me some raw Star Wars.
Disney comes to you and they say, we're doing a raw footage showing. It's 6 hours of raw footage, and you can't leave. Once you go in, you have to be there for 6 hours, no matter how many, no matter, 2.5 hours of, okay, faster, more intense, and then running this thing, running down the same passage. We would all do it, I guess. I guess we would.
Yeah.
It might be torturous, but to not do it would be worse, because you feel like I could have seen all this unseen footage and I didn't do it because
I want to hear Anthony Daniels saying all of his lines like "curse my metal body," just like with the helmet on.
Just muffled. Everyone's like, "What?"
Well, let me switch for a second to things that are actually in a movie that we're talking about. Here's a shot that I really like. When after Han, is kind of laying out his plan, and they're, Dryden is bringing stuff up and trying to poke holes in it, and there's that shot where it's from behind. You see from behind, you see Dryden and Kira kind of talking, but Han is in between them, far away, across the room, but he's the one in focus. And it's a good setup for that kind of dialogue, because then he interrupts. And first visually he's interrupting, and then he actually does interrupt, and he's like, unless that setup is perfect for the way the I love it when a conversation scene has visual elements to add to that language of the dynamic of the conversation. And this perfect, just, it's a subtle thing, but the fact that they're not in focus and he's in between them, but you're focused on him when he interrupts, perfect.
Yeah, it gives you like a visual cue to say like he wants to interrupt the two of these people that are talking and interject like, "Hey, I'm here. Like, what about me?"
Remember,
the
movie's named after me.
And not just about interrupting their conversation, but kind of being thrown back into Kira's life and interrupting her entire life and throwing things around. Where at the end of this movie, where the way things end, if we're avoiding spoilers for it,
you go ahead.
Yeah, she's very uncomfortable in like this whole scene because Dryden is there, kind of like with his arm kind of around her, and she's just like, "Oh God."
Right. Well, yeah, I guess now she's in this especially awkward position of not only does she have to worry about her own skin, but now theoretically her high school boyfriend is coming in and suddenly stampeding around like a bull in a china shop.
Is he going to say something that's going to embarrass me?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Hey, Kira, do you still like Lord? Remember you used to like Lord back then? I don't know why I went Lord of all people, but
that's okay. My references would have made me seem older, just like before. So,
well, I have a question not specific to this minute, but about the theme of the movie in general, and I'll ask the whole entire panel. If they were to do another prequel to a Harrison Ford movie, which one would you most want them to do?
Air Force One.
The Fugitive.
Fugitive.
Just him as a doctor.
Just like a medical job.
It's like we've already got our Indiana Jones prequel in Temple of Doom and in The Last Crusade. So Air Force One jumped into my head and like, let's just see him be the president.
Right.
It's like the day before.
You find out he's like a corrupt politician.
And would you call it Air Force Zero, or is that two?
Or maybe, okay, it could be while he's still vice president. It's like the term before. And then you could call it Air Force 2.
There you go.
Because that would be his plane then.
So it is a sequel, but it's also a prequel.
It's both.
Good. I like it. I'm on board with this. I've not seen Air Force 1, but I'm on board.
But then wouldn't it be because do you want people to watch the prequel first or not?
No, I don't know.
Because if you name it Air Force 2, you're going for like a mystery.
Chronological.
Yeah. Hey,
I think we should make it as complex and convoluted as possible. Like, I don't know what to watch.
You guys, I'll go so far as to say you guys are experts on Star Wars. I'll give you guys that title. You guys are experts. If you're showing, not you, Pete. If you're showing a new person, do you start with episode 1 or episode 4?
4.
4.
Molly?
Although
Definitely.
I think we would start with 4, but when we started the Lego Skywalker Saga game, we did start with episode 1. I just thought that felt right in the sense of playing a game. I wanted to start like chronologically from the beginning of these characters' stories. I don't know.
Did you have the option? You could have started with 4, but you chose to start with 1?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can start with 1, 4, or 7 in the right.
right.
You can start
pick
at the beginning of any
your
trilogy.
All right, so it sounds like we're split.
So you're a chronological person?
Me?
Yeah.
I would always go. I also just don't think it works as strongly as a drama starting with episode 1, because a lot of the dramatic reveals from the original trilogy are spoiled. You know going in that Luke and Leia are brother and sister. You know Darth Vader's their father. You know what the deal is with Yoda. You know all those things.
I think we agree that
Yeah,
we're release order people when it comes to the movies.
Right. Yeah.
Just not Skywalker Saga, the Lego game.
The Lego game.
Lego always has an asterisk.
Yeah.
Well, the game also you know everything that's going. It's a different experience. You know, it's a different thing. So
Yeah.
But if you're introducing someone brand new to Star Wars, start with episode 4. That's what we always say.
Right.
Yeah. We all agree.
Although I still do want to try my like excised trilogy of the trilogy. So you're watching The Phantom Menace, Empire Strikes Back, and Rise of Skywalker. You're boiling it down. Boiling the trilogy down to a trilogy.
The beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay.
Beginning and the beginning, the middle of the middle, and the end of the end.
Wow, and that's quite a lineup. Those 3 movies.
Do you want this person to hate Star Wars?
Yeah.
We'll see. But the person is me, so I think I'll be. I don't know.
The only way I would do that is if I showed that to someone and said, "Okay, now what do you think happens in the meantime?"
Right, exactly.
Because it would be utterly nonsensical.
Right.
You would assume that Luke was Anakin grown up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So
that'll be a whole weird.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, how did Anakin get back to Tatooine, and why is his name Luke now?
And plus, Palpatine is not even in Empire Strikes. Like he is barely in Empire Strikes Back, but then somehow he returns in The Rise of Skywalker.
Right. Anyway,
that's kind of fun because you wouldn't even know what you'd be like. Why is Palpatine? Anyway,
Yoda would be going from always to there are like just now talking about the Sith to anyways I'm out of here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is he? Does he
undiggable
show up as a ghost in Rise of Skywalker? I barely remember that movie.
You can hear him.
yeah, you hear his
voice
But
is
no
at the
Force
end.
Ghost. No Force Ghost.
Not in that. No, in
Yeah. Last Jedi.
movies we've talked about. Yes. Movies we're about to talk about later. No.
Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about with Minute 51?
That's pretty much all I had.
We have some more Dryden fun tomorrow, so we can pick that up tomorrow. Star Wars Explained duo. You guys need to come back tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
holding you to that.
We'll see you there.
So, all right, good. That's all in order. We're all set for tomorrow. So all that's left to do is remind everyone, hey, you know what? On the weekend we have a Patreon show we do. If it's exclusive for Patreon members, if you enjoy hearing us talk about Star Wars and a range of other topics, go to starwarsminute.com/Patreon and sign up. And also remind everyone, we did a complete overview of the James Bond series, our That's No Moonraker.
right.
How many was it, 26 episodes or something?
Right. Something like that.
Yeah, we did every James Bond movie except the last one, which I still have not seen. So it's perfect time. You could start listening to them, catch up just in time for me to watch it on Amazon Prime. So
Lots of
go to
overlap.
go to starwarsminute.com/Patreon and join us for That's No Moonraker there, and join us tomorrow for another Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars, man.
Oh,